Hello, everyone. I thought of sharing something really quickly, actually. Because it's more than 3 minutes, it can't count as a YouTube short. But, anyways, so in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. So, dear viewers, what has come to my attention, I've shared it in previous talks, but today it has a different significance for me. Society has conditioned you to treat yourself like a noun, but we're actually verbs. In my mind, the contrast is between, like when I look at the human experience, we compare ourselves based on a past self. So the value, if somebody comes and asks me, for example, who are you? The answer, of course, involves like the story from the beginning of my life up to now, right? So it's a comparison of the earliest past self up to the current self. Okay, but it's still a comparison of snapshot photos of life. In reality, when I say society has conditioned you like a noun, but we're actually verbs, it's a suggestion that life is a film. Okay, and we're taking frames, frames per second or frames per moment, and treating those frames per moment as the actual reality. Now, for the mind of a futurist, what does this imply? How far does it go? Pretty much it's like society conditioned you to be a noun based on the past. I'm telling you, in the future, we will be verbs. And we are actually verbs this whole time. Just this is how advanced our acknowledgement technology is. We got to treat it that this world is a very advanced place, and we have this privilege of noticing how advanced it is and have the privilege of noticing how advanced we are. But the method we're using to process how advanced we are is based on, in some sense, okay, I was this noun, and then I'm this noun now, and we all need to be this kind of noun. And I'm starting to realize, Rudyard Kipling has this phrase in one of his poems. I don't remember the whole thing, but he says, "Don't let dreams be your master." Now, this especially for me, this sentence has a weight, and pretty much think of it this way, that human consciousness right now, again being seen as individual, it has dimensions of that individualism that are collectively based. Our individualism without a collective place for all of this to be is actually meaningless. Because in some sense, if everything was in some sense connected, we would not know what is there. So it's like life requires us to experience the individualism or nounism to be able to notice the difference of verbism, okay, being a verb. Now, what's very interesting is that there's this view, and I am Muslim, I'm a Muslim futurist, and I will say it like this, that there is this view that some people are like, why didn't God create everybody perfect from the beginning? And a theological response to that is that God created sin so man can establish a relationship with the original power. That means this might sound bizarre, but think of it this way: that we're 8 billion. We're inside a simulation right now. Now, as a simulated being inside the simulation, what can inspire you to notice the original? It's when in some sense, it's kind of like, I don't know how to say this. It's kind of bizarre, but it's like, is failing inside a simulation success? Or is winning inside a simulation failure? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to say that, guys, this is what I didn't notice. This is actually a breakthrough for me I'm sharing with you, okay? The breakthrough is this. I was born on this planet. I was conditioned. I was given a name. I have memory. And in some sense, I've identified as an individual. But when I've looked at life closely and I've wondered about even people, you see, the cool thing about life is that there's many other beings here, many other humans. And you can kind of see, like sometimes in life, you get the privilege of seeing beings that are more advanced than you. Okay, and I should say this very differently. It's very different when I say advanced. It doesn't mean smart, per se. Okay, advanced, it means the awareness is advanced compared to the awareness of the individual. Do you know? I don't. Let me see. How can I say this? Okay, I'll go back to the breakthrough. Okay, the breakthrough is that my whole life I've been conditioned as this individual. Okay, and I'm like, yo, man, what's my individual purpose? And I've come and I'm doing that individual purpose, and I'm like halfway through. Let's say, I don't know, close to the halfway point of my life. Okay, and it's occurring to me more and more. This is going to sound bizarre, but myself is a limitation. The idea of myself is a limitation, okay? I don't know how to say it, but it's like, I see, when I look at life now, it's not about go and figure out what specific noun said what, it's more like, okay, something is happening. It's a symphony that's happening. Many notes, many instruments are playing. It's a movement. It's like this rhythm thing, okay? And in some sense, you cannot analyze yourself into rhythm. You actually analysis takes you out of the rhythm, unless the analysis is so fast it doesn't. What that means is, how do I say it? Conditioned as a noun, we fear death, which is the end of the noun. Okay? But if we were verbs and there was no such thing as death and there was just change, not that there isn't death, but I'm saying that death wasn't the end. See, we're like, I don't know how to say it. Sometimes life feels like I'm inside a photo. I'm inside a spherical photograph or frame, again, like, frame per moment of a film. This life is happening, it's dynamic. The moment you realize it's a verb and it's interconnected and it's all happening at once, the light of the sun dawns and everybody, like creatures, wake up all over the land. And I'm trying to tell you that it's like, from a past noun, we're becoming a future verb. I think it's the process, it's the difference between not knowing how to identify when we look at a verb, or how do I say it? I think in the future, if we are verbs, if the mind is moving so much faster than the body that it doesn't need the body as a sort of terminal, as a sort of, you know, body, I believe that if the mind moves really fast, it's not going to need the body. It's going to need a greater space. I don't know. It's like I'm trying to say life is right now slow enough for us to be individual, but if it speeds up, and if the interconnectivity of it increases, I believe that it's going to shift from individualism. And you know, I kind of pointed to this in my sci-fi, but right now, all human consciousness is valuing the verbs. We're not valuing just the nouns. We value what someone has done. Do you know that means if do you know what I'm saying? That means the value comes from our verbs. So isn't it weird? We identify as nouns and we're looking for verbs, specific verbs to change this noun. I think I said it well here. Okay? So we're conditioned as this noun, and in some sense we're using verbs to become another noun, and then that noun is not going to be enough. So you either have a choice of being a sort of, I guess, not identity bound. So it's like you can identify with the form, or you can identify with the movement of the form. Okay, that which is moving the form. And I'm saying that our society, the sociocultural, let's say global program, people identify with guys, it might actually be too noisy. Is this better? Let me know if this is better. This should be better, but you should be hearing less noise. Anyways. Let's say it differently. Let's say that the responsibility level of the human being is, for now, like nouns. Okay, we're being responsible for being a noun, and we're using verbs to maintain being a noun. But what if we use nouns to maintain ourselves as verbs? Like, how about we do that? Right? So right now I'm being like, okay, past self did something, you know, now it's, let's say, present self. Okay, so I'm saying we're focusing on the self and how the verb changes one self in one moment of time to another self in a moment of time. But if we identified with the verb, do you know what that means? Like right now, we say you're an individual self that can do different verbs. But what if it's the opposite way? What if we're this life force that can be different nouns? Right? I'm kind of imagining like a sine wave, and instead of the peaks and like changing the place of the peaks and troughs, you know, with nouns and verbs. It's like I'm a noun, but I'm speaking right now. As I'm moving and breathing, it's like I'm a verb, and as I speak, this kind of renders a new self. So to be honest, it's like the original. It's like we think matter came first and matter led to force. But it's actually force was first that led to matter. And when we identify with matter, we're not identifying with the primordial force. So we need to identify with the primordial force. Now, it's like I'm saying, you think you're a changing being, but you're actually change, and being is the verb. Do you know? It's like you're the life force moving through the nouns. You're the verb moving through the nouns. Honestly, you know what this means, guys? This means that this whole time in life, it's been our choice. And maybe we didn't know better because of society conditioning us. But it's like I'm thinking right now, why have I been living as a noun? What has convinced me? I mean, sure, the body is there, but what has convinced me that life is about nouns? I think aside from language and photography, everything is in motion, in change. So it's like we think we're being in a world that's changing, but we're the force, we're the change that is being in different ways. Do you understand? I'm saying that you identify as being something and you're changing. Now I'm saying, okay, you are the change, but it's like I'm switching it around. Okay? So just think about it, whoever you are. You know, have you been identifying as a noun, or have you been identifying as a verb? You see, the beautiful thing is, God is not a noun. Because it has no beginning or end, therefore no form to be considered a noun, but also, I guess, no form to change to consider a verb. So God is either a verb before nouns, you know, or beyond verbs and nouns if the verb is based on the noun changing first. You know what it is? It's like this thing I'm saying could be like this. If you see verb as like non-physical as force and noun as physical, I'm saying we're treating ourselves as physical beings, you know, doing non-physical things like such as imagination, mind, communication, right? But what if we're a non-physical force? I'm saying, what if you're a non-physical being a physical being? So you're like this non-physical verb that is conditioned. That means just because the world is designed some way, like we gotta have the audacity as souls to be like, just because I'm in a world and just because this is the best they could do, this doesn't mean this is the best view. You know, my whole life has been, in some sense, very poetic. It's like an eagle. I was born on a branch in a certain conditioning, and then my whole life has been a flight between the branches. But at some point, I'm like, why am I flying between the branches? Why not fly into the sky, see the whole forest, and then, do you see? So I'm saying that it's just like the eagle. A bird has an awareness of the branch, specific branch, and has an awareness of the sky, you know? And the experience of both are very different. The experience of flight is different compared to the experience of being on the branch, right? And I'm saying us treating ourselves as nouns, like this whole game of like, yo man, you're an individual, I'm an individual. How are we being individuals? Oh yeah, based on my past self and based on a current reference now, but aren't we in a changing world this whole time? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, how are we being a self in a changing world? Can somebody explain this? And the answer, I think the explanation is this, that we are changing slower than the planet. Imagine if the human lifespan was like a mosquito. You were born and you died, like in one day. Do you know what I mean? Then the meaning of life would be very different. You know? But instead, do you know, we linger here, and the world changes slower than us. That means if I was born and the planet physically was changing shapes like instantly all the time, very quickly, like super quickly, there would be no physical place for me to be. You understand? The conditions are giving us clues of like our design, and our design gives clues of our purpose. Okay? And the whole point of it is, that if I ask you who you are, don't you have like an endless multiple choice of nouns you can choose from? So how can that be true? That means if I ask you who are you, and you're like, yo man, I'm this. They gave me an abstract name, and they gave me, and I lived in society and I generated an abstract story. And whenever you ask me who I am, I get to cherry pick out of which abstraction, or even the memory of the past, which now doesn't exist in the present, is still an abstraction. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you were a verb, like I'm not just being a physical entity right now. I'm like, there's something different compared to in some sense, like human beings are not statues, but the way they're identifying and communicating with one another, it's like statues talking, you know? It's like, I was this self, and now you're that self, you know, and now I'm this self, and in the future I'm gonna be another self. It's like, excuse me, it's like, what is this, you know? We're the motion, we're the force. And so when God says, through the theological lens, that we are actually a soul, and even though in Islam the soul is the secret of God and also the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means the command of the system admin beyond the workroom. See, I could say it this way. If God is superior to its creation, then this means God is neither a verb, neither a noun. But human beings, they are a noun, a certain dimension of their existence. Their existence is like a noun, but their experience is more like a verb. That means, you know what's strange? It's like our heart has been beating from day one. Every part, like the body rests except the heart, right? The heart and the lungs. I mean, of course, it's one body and active circulation. You know what I'm saying? It's this constant on-off, on-off. Noun, verb, noun, verb, noun, verb. In the moments where we're shifting from one noun, that means that, like, let's say right now I say, I'm a person who, how long have I spoken? I say, okay, I've given a lecture that's 23 seconds, 32 seconds. 23 minutes, 32 seconds. Okay? Now, if the moment I said that, the seconds were still moving forth. The honest reality is we're never a noun. We're actually a verb from, let's say, the beginning to maybe even beyond the end. Actually beyond the end. We're actually a verb. The cosmos is a verb. Everything, the origin. It's very strange because God is beyond the primordial force of reality, because God created that primordial force. And like a majority of human life is just pattern familiarity, pattern recognition. Do you know? When you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you know that's you? It's a pattern. That's, in some sense, the thunderstorms in the brain, neural synapses, all this. Anyways, guys, I'm trying to say, just think about it when you go about your day, and think about it that, do you have to be a specific noun, or maybe, like, you know, the sages had a point where, or even religion, where it says have faith in what you don't understand. Like, what is this? We're abstractizing ourselves as a noun and then wondering if this fictitious noun relates to, can figure out reality. It's ridiculous. Every person, is your name real? Can you touch your name? Can you touch the idea of you? No. Anyways, guys, I gotta go. Wonder about if life is, if you've been a verb this whole time. I'm convinced. I'm convinced that the human being may be treating itself as a being now, but in the future it will be obvious that the whole thing is becoming something. That means in the moment where I'm trying to live a life, poetically, the planet's living a life poetically, the solar system is living a life poetically, the galaxy is living a life poetically, the observable universe is living a life poetically, the unobservable universe is living a life. You know what that means? That means that's the cool thing about it, I think, that it's not just like every person is in their own world. Like, God didn't create 8 billion worlds for 8 billion human souls, right? God created one world for all these souls. Do you know? God could have easily just, I mean, some people do have this thought that they're like, how is it possible that everybody gets what they want in heaven? There is this view that everybody's going to be in their own heaven. But at that point, heaven is beyond man's understanding of how things will be done. Of course, we got to acknowledge that right now, where it's like we don't have access to the higher levels of reality, and there are higher planes. Not only all religions have said this, but many religions specifically have said 7. Okay, even in Islam, you have Jannat al-Firdaus, which is the 7th heaven, the highest heaven. But in Islam is very different than when you go look at Hinduism. In Hinduism, like the 7th heaven is you're becoming like family members. You're like, the soul is, ascending to a point where it's like becoming relatives of God or family members of God. That means in the higher lokas, it's like, or let me say it this way. Imagine you have somebody like Elon Musk, okay? And I want you to imagine all the people on Earth in tech, okay? Okay, this God cannot be humanized, guys. This is just for the sake of brainstorming and metaphor, I'm saying. But imagine all these tech people, all the different kinds of tech people in the world. There's Elon Musk. So what do? They try to get close to them, unless they're their own, But I'm saying what they do is they try to get close to him, right? So right now on this planet, there's human beings that are creating value. There are human beings that have value, and there are human beings who are trying to pull themselves to the value of others. Do you know what that means? That means, like, for most people, like back in the day, even, like, imagine a peasant would come and talk to the soldier, like the imperial soldiers, when a prince came and talked to him. They had a very different attitude compared to when a peasant came and talked to them. Do you understand? And human beings are like these 8 billion organisms set in this, like, one place, and in some sense they're all considering values, and there's collective values in regards to, like, everybody acknowledging the same thing. To be honest, human beings are behaving like a language, okay? And the purpose of language is its dynamism of use. The reason I'm saying people are like languages, like how the human species is like a language, it's like, a bunch of people, imagine all human beings are like words in a dictionary, okay? And it's like a bunch of people are just learning the same word in the dictionary. What I'm trying to say is the value of humans, on some level, there's just your biological existence, like your biology and DNA. But from another, it's based on, of course, what you do and discover, but also based on what is being treated. You see, why do human beings at their core, after everything they go through life, at the end of it, want to just feel okay and be loved? Like, why is that? Do you know? And it's because there's a game of abstract verification. It's like there's a game of fictitious verification of non-fiction. We haven't considered it, but it could be that human beings, by their design, are experiencing a simulation. We are the simulation. Like you right now are the simulation. Are you not simulating the meaning in everything you see? Are you not simulating? Do you know how your awareness of the day happens when you wake up? Do you know what I'm saying? So anyways, are we simulated nouns or are we original verbs? And I believe that's the thing about the soul. What God imbued in man upon after man's creation was essence, was life force. We have been identifying as a life form. You're all life forces. It's all force. And the freedom that a verb has is greater than a noun. Anyways, thank you for listening. In the name of God knows best, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful.